Rangers are on the brink of a seismic shakeup. A Premier League wonderkid arrives as the club secretly pulls off a stunning transfer coup. Explosive reports now suggest that Kevin Muscat, the disciple of Ange Postecoglou, could be on his way to G51, while Sean Dyche has been ruthlessly ruled out by the board. But that's not all. Gerrard is being lined up for a sensational return, and it could cost Kevin Thelwell his job. Stay locked in. You won't believe what's coming next. Right, here we go then. Rangers are making moves behind the curtain, and you better believe this one's been carefully stitched together with the long game in mind. 16-year-old Zebedee Lawson, a highly rated prospect from Brighton and Hove Albion, has chosen Rangers as the next big step in his career. That's right, you're not just watching a rebuild at Ibrox, you're watching a resurgence. This young lad's been turning heads down south, playing above his age group in Brighton's under-18s, and now he's packing his bags for the only club in Scotland that truly knows how to build winners. And make no mistake, this wasn't some last-minute scramble. It's been revealed that Rangers pulled off a significant effort behind the scenes to make this deal happen. Sporting director Kevin Thelwell and the head of academy scouting, James Fowler, have been quietly watching this boy for a while. And now they've sealed it. David McCallum, the interim head of academy, couldn't hide his excitement, and rightly so. He's called Lawson a very exciting player who fits the model of what Rangers are building. Meanwhile, Fowler made it crystal clear this wasn't just about potential, this was about vision. He said Zebedee has stood out even while playing against older boys in a Premier League environment. That speaks volumes. Rangers aren't just filling shirts, they're thinking ahead, building a pipeline of talent that's meant to dominate. But let's not ignore the other side of the coin. While Lawson walks through the Ibrox gates, another youth prospect, Archie Stevens, has wandered off to Arsenal. After a trial and a spell on loan at Dunfermline, he's now wearing red in London. Fair play to the lad. He says it's a dream come true and we wish him well. But you've got to ask yourself, when one door opens at Ibrox and another lad heads south, who's really making the smarter move? This one's bubbling away now, and you can feel the tension rising like steam off the Clyde. There's growing noise that Rangers could be eyeing up a manager cut from the same cloth as that former Celtic gaffer, Ange Postecoglou. You heard right. Word is Kevin Muscat, one of Ange's old lieutenants, is back in the frame. And with Russell Martin still under scrutiny, you've got to wonder if the clock's already ticking. At that recent fan meeting, Patrick Stewart made it clear what the club's after: progressive, modern football in the heart of G51, a style apparently that Muscat embodies. He's got a winning pedigree from Australia to Japan to Shanghai, and folk like Gavin Berry are saying he ticks so many boxes, played for Rangers, part of a treble-winning squad, and most importantly, he plays the kind of football that gets results and gets you off your seat. Now look, Russell Martin's still in the dugout for now, and Andrew Kavanagh's standing by his man, but let's not pretend folk are happy. If that League Cup tie against Hibs goes sideways, the pitchforks might come out quicker than a green and grey meltdown on Derby Day. Muscat missed out on the job to Philippe Clement once already. Clement did lift the Scottish League Cup, but it fizzled out fast. Barry Ferguson had to step in as a stopgap, and here we are again, staring down the barrel of a decision that could define the next few years at Ibrox. And let's not kid ourselves, Muscat's never managed in Europe's elite leagues, but neither had Postecoglou before Celtic handed him the keys. We know how that ended: titles, trebles, and an exit before the confetti settled. But here's the thing, if Rangers bring in a guy who's not only been part of that system, but has already proven he can win elsewhere, are you about to see Ibrox finally embrace the kind of fearless, front-foot football we've been desperate for? The situations inside Ibrox is now approaching boiling point, And if you're not feeling it already, you've not been paying attention. Rangers CEO Patrick Stewart has firmly ruled out Sean Dyche as a potential replacement for Russell Martin, even with the team crumbling like a day-old Scotch pie. The idea of Dyche's no-nonsense, back-to-basics football landing in G51, it's dead in the water, according to Stewart, who insists the club are chasing a possession-dominant, progressive style. That might sound lovely on a presentation slide, but the reality on the pitch? We're winless in 5, out the Champions League before it even started, and trailing by 9 points in the league. It's our worst start since 1978, and yet the powers that be think the style is still the hill to die on. Now, don't get me wrong, the board aren't entirely asleep at the wheel. Stewart's confirmed there's a plan B in place, though he insists that's just part of normal governance. But listen, you don't draw up succession plans in a rush unless you smell smoke. Meanwhile, Steven Gerrard's name is being whispered louder and louder by the day. The man who stopped Celtic's 10 in a row fantasy, who gave us our title back when we needed it most, he's sitting in the wings. And while some inside the club might see him as old news, you and I know better. He understands Ibrox, he commands respect, and his record 124 wins out of 192 speaks for itself. Still, Stewart's doubling down on the data, saying their research shows possession-based teams win more in Scotland and similar leagues. That's why they picked Martin in the first place. Fair enough. But at some point, this data needs to match the reality. Right now, all it's given us is misery on match days and chaos in the dressing room. Stewart seems dead set on finding someone who'll fit Martin's mold. Despite the fact Martin's reign has been an utter catastrophe, Kevin Thelwell even admitted there have been glimpses of the right approach, but they've not been sustained. Glimpses? You don't win titles with glimpses, you win them with grit, goals, and glory. Now, here's the hammer blow. If the board are that obsessed with possession, stats, and models that don't deliver, and they pass on Steven Gerrard, who's already proven he can win here, are they so blinded by spreadsheets and philosophies that they've forgotten the one thing that actually matters at Rangers silverware? Kevin Thelwell, Rangers sporting director, might soon find himself in the firing line, not because of his signings, but because he could stand between Rangers and the return of Steven Gerrard. That's right, the man might be willing to answer the call, but only if there's a clear path to power, and right now, Thelwell might be the obstacle. Word is, Thelwell doesn't fancy having a big character like Gerrard walking back into G51. He wants someone he can control, someone who'll let him run the show when it comes to recruitment and long-term planning. Gerrard, he doesn't do silent partnerships. He builds squads his way, and rightly so. When you've got the medals, the leadership, and the knowledge of what it means to wear the badge, you don't come back to play second fiddle. But here's where it gets properly juicy. Reports suggest Andrew Kavanagh has already been offered the chance to speak directly to Gerrard. Lifeline, maybe. A way out of this mess. After Martin's disastrous start, just 3 wins from 12, shipping 19 goals, and sitting 10th in the league. 10th. Let that sink in. Club Brugge embarrassed us in Europe. Hearts strolled past us on the 13th of September, and this team looks more lost than a Celtic fan in Govan. Meanwhile, other names like Davide Ancelotti and Mark van Bommel are being whispered again, but neither of them knows the club like Gerrard does. Aye, some still hold a grudge over the way he left for Aston Villa, but let's be honest, you'd have walked too if you had to deal with the shambles he left behind. So here's the standoff. You've got a sporting director clinging to his blueprint, and you've got a club that's crying out for leadership, and Gerrard's just sitting there ready if the board has the bottle to make it happen. If appointing Gerrard means showing Kevin Thelwell the door, would you be willing to sack your sporting director today to bring back the only man in over a decade who actually made you proud to wear your shirt? Comment below what you think about the news. Don't forget to leave a like on the video to help me out. I post videos every day talking about our Rangers, so if you're not subscribed, you're missing out on the latest news. See you soon.